Hi all. Today I am talking to those women who are in a position to make that decision to get a divorce. These are women in non-violent marital relationships who've been deeply hurt and or feel dissatisfied for whatever reason with their spouse and have decided to file for divorce as the only option. It's not always the only option, but at the time we see it as the only option. I'm not referring to those women who find themselves forced into divorce by their spouses, because there are many of those. And all the time, they don't have a say. Neither am I talking to those women living within domestic violence. Those are discussions for another day. I will give you 10 things out of my book, on the realities of divorce for women in Kenya. I'd like you to consider, some of these things before giving up on your marriage completely. First of all, just understand that there is a very big price to pay along the way, even if it is the very best option for you and your children. It is extremely traumatic with wide-ranging effects. There's a lot of emotional turmoil. So unless your marriage is volatile and high risk for physical abuse to yourself and the children, it may actually be more beneficial to save your marriage. Again, I repeat, if you're in a position to make this decision, than to go through divorce despite the pain and hurt you're experiencing now. And I know that you are experiencing this pain and feel that this is the only way out. But if you both work through the issues, though, you could experience a restoration of your marriage. So please hear me out, and I hope by the end of the session you'll be able to rethink and see how you can save your family and your marriage. So let's look at the reality of divorce for women in Kenya. And I keep saying in Kenya because it is the experiences that I have seen here in our country. Okay. To start off with, just understand that you are living within a patriarchal society, which means you're going to be faced not only with having to deal with the trauma of your breaking family and marital situation, but the process is grounded in an oppressive patriarchal environment, which is ingrained in traditional and cultural attitudes and beliefs regarding women. What am I trying to say? Basically, most of the systems are led by men, and you're going to find that there is going to be an oppression that comes from those systems that are meant to be supporting us within this walk if you're going down the road of divorce. My experience was extremely traumatic, starting from almost being beaten up by the police, being sexually harassed by my final legal lawyer, and just snide comments coming from the people who are meant to have been supporting me. Again, you can read more of that in my journey of divorce in Kenya. Unless you're walking with Jesus, divorce is a very, very lonely place to be, which leads a lot of women to depression. I mean, chances are that you will go through depression because you're trying to juggle so much in your emotional state of trying to get through that divorce. You're juggling the children, you're trying to juggle the legal systems, and all these systems are meant to support us, and you're also trying to work with your children. It's big, it's huge, 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 huge. And it's no wonder that a lot of women, and I'm sure there are men as well, but I'm focusing on women, a lot of women suffer from depression and post-traumatic stress. So that is one of the things, or the second thing that you'll actually experience. Now, financially, this is the biggest area for women. Financially, the burden of legal fees, just to start off with, is absolutely ginormous. Most of the time, we don't have that money. Most women don't have that kind of money. But, be ready to pay anywhere from $25,000 to $200,000. And that is not just a one-off. That is not a one-off at all. So be aware that the legal fees is huge, but also finding the right lawyer or group to assist you is extremely difficult. I went through 7 lawyers before I finally completed my divorce. But at the same time, that final lawyer was the one who actually sexually harassed me through text messages and telephone calls and just all kinds of nasty things. And that was meant to have been with a Christian organization as well. Your personal finances will come right down, if not disappear completely, unless you're being the main breadwinner. In Kenya, a large majority of women who are divorced or estranged from their husbands live in or on the line of poverty, especially if you have been a stay-home mom. So what I'm trying to say is that your life is going to change, and completely change. You will not believe it. Yeah? There isn't a guarantee either that you will receive financial support from your ex-spouse. There is absolutely no guarantee. I didn't get any alimony after 18 years of marriage. And again, there was quite a bit of corruption that had gone on there. Again, you can read about it in my book, yeah? The finances will be so highly reduced that it does affect your lifestyle. It increases stress and possibly financial difficulties and hardships down the road. Being able to pay your bills, being able to even buy food, being able to look after your children, being able to ensure that school fees is paid, being able to, it actually completely turns your life around. Think about that. Finances is the biggest area in which divorced women are affected, not just in Kenya, but around the world. Yeah? Even with the new constitution, our new constitution, you are not guaranteed that you will get alimony or maintenance after you've been through that whole legal system and you've done the final court case. I know many women who are in this position, and those who've even given up on completing the divorce process because, first of all, they've not been able to afford it financially, started on a journey, but have had to throw their hands up in the air and decide, you know what, I'm getting out of this country, I'm getting out of this place, or I'm not just going to go through a divorce. Okay, so finances are a very, very, very big area to consider. I remember one person in authority actually telling me when I went to them to seek counsel, they told me, Shibero, make sure that your finances are sorted out before you start down on this road. And basically, I heard him, but I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't access the family finances. But it did leave me in an extremely difficult place financially for both my daughter and myself. So you do not want to end up in the line of poverty. Neither do you want your children to be affected by the switch of things unless you absolutely have to go through divorce. If you've got children, your children will be highly impacted by divorce. Do you know that most of the time we do not think about our children, yet they are the ones who end up getting really hurt, really, really hurt by this whole parents fighting and going their separate ways. It really does tear them apart. It is extremely hard on children, and their emotional, psychological, and physical health can push them into serious depression, and it has done so. They are not able to deal with the trauma and the high levels of change that divorce brings to their lives. So many of them do end up in depression. We always forget about the children, don't we? We do. Wherever I look in the churches, there's nothing for children. There's nothing for families going through divorce. Children suffer from depression because of divorce. Sadly, they are forgotten by the parents, you're so busy battling that you forget that children are there, especially within our communities. We tend to think that a family breakdown leading to divorce is transient. It will pass. It won't affect the children. That it's just a minor upheaval in a child's life. This is not so. It is not true. Children are affected by divorce and it lasts a lifetime. They do not have the skills or emotional maturity as their parents actually do to deal with whatever it is that is actually going on. And it does push them into depression. So unless managed very carefully, which hardly ever happens, it is rare. Unless managed very carefully. And again, I repeat, it is very, very rare that children come out without being seriously affected. Yeah? Statistics reflect that there is increased risk for children from divorced homes to suffer academically, to experience high levels of behavior problems, and almost 5 times more likely to live in poverty than are children with married parents. Teens are more likely to engage in drugs and alcohol. My heart really goes out to the children because I experienced it myself with my own daughter. When I got to learn that she was on antidepressants, it really blew me apart. And yes, it really did affect me. So even though children may not say it, whilst mom and dad are fighting and separating, you're actually fulfilling a child's worst nightmare, which is mom and dad are going to leave me. They're going to leave us. What are we going to do? How am I going to survive? So that's just the children's side of things. In addition to which, actually, the relationship with their warring parents does affect the relationships that both parents actually have with the children. They get caught up in the war between the two adults, further affecting their mental status and the relationship that you now have with them. They're seeing sides of parents that are extremely ugly, quite contradictory to what they've gotten used to seeing their parents as. Not these two. It's so animalistic. It's totally unbelievable in how much ugliness there is in divorce. There really, really is. So think about that. Do you want to put your children through all this? It's trauma. Do you want to put your children through trauma? Yeah? The other thing that you should expect to happen is that your extended family will be reduced. Most of the time it is reduced. If you have children, your relationship with one half of your children's extended family, yani grandparents, cousins, aunts, and uncles, etc., could be strained or completely destroyed. Since my divorce, basically, which I've now been apart, we've been apart for the last 8, starting 9 years, there's been no contact ever with my in-laws, and very little contact for our daughter. So you lose, whether you like it or not, you lose not just extended family. There are even family members that you probably will lose as well. You will also lose friends. You'll get to find out who your friends really, really are. Yeah? This is in church and outside church as well. You'll get to find out. You will lose a lot of so-called support systems that you thought you had, and so will your children. And finally, it takes a very long time to rebuild a stable life for you and your children. It is so hard having to go back to the drawing board and try and see where you are going, where you and your children are going if you've got children. But also, in the midst of that, you are juggling the everyday nitty-gritties of just living, in addition to which you are also trying to work through the trauma of trying to legalize the separation or the divorce. Going through divorce in Kenya, ladies, is one of the toughest experiences I've ever had in my whole life. Emotionally, physically, it wears you down. It wears you right down. So why am I giving you all this? I'm talking to you. I'd like you to understand that it is easy to, not easy, it is, when we've never been through divorce, we don't understand at all what it means. We don't. We're not in a position to understand until we start walking down that road. However, the reason why I'm talking about it is to try and give you some idea, try and give you some awareness of how humongous it is and whether it is actually worth going down this road if you can save your marriage. If it is not volatile and dangerous to you, if it's just relationship issues that can be worked through, then is divorce really the best option for you? Yeah, so here I'm now going to talk about, can you save your marriage so that you don't have to go down this road? Divorce is not always an easy way out. What people see as a quick way out often results in emotional damage that not only you, but the children will carry for more than 30 years. They will always remember that. They do. Talk to people whose parents have divorced. Yeah? Though my marriage couldn't have been saved at the time for a wide range of reasons, divorce seriously does not typically solve personal or relationship dysfunctions. If we're not getting along, that is not a reason to actually divorce. Yeah? If you are the one making the decision, ladies, to divorce your spouse, please consider these things. Don't give up prematurely. You have invested time, energy, money, hopes and dreams in your marriage. Not just you, but also the children. You have brought them up in that environment for whatever period of time. The only way many people can initiate divorce without feeling unduly guilty is to know that, you know what, I have tried everything I could possibly do to make the marriage work. It just makes good sense to focus on how you can improve the relationship you're in now. Again, I repeat, unless you're in an extremely dangerous, volatile, life-threatening marital relationship, then work it out. Work it out. The divorce route does not necessarily make life better for you and your children. It can make it even worse. So, don't give up prematurely. Secondly, take it to God. I could never have done it without God. A lot of times what we tend to do is we want to work things out ourselves. It doesn't work. You actually need to walk with God in a breaking family. He put it together. If he put it together, yeah, like we've had other discussions before, sometimes it's not him who put it together, it's you who put yourself together with that particular person. But take it to God, regardless. Take it to God and say, I am sorry, this is where I'm at, and I don't feel I have a choice. Give it to God and see what he can do with you. If you belong to a church, talk to the pastor's wife, get help and spiritual support. Don't walk down this road on your own. If you decided to get a divorce, don't go down this road on your own. Find somebody you can walk with from your church. If you don't belong to a church, then look for a trusted person that you can talk to, who can walk with you, whether it's a counselor, whether it's just find a trusted person who can walk with you, who will not necessarily give you biased advice or will not want to listen to what you're experiencing. If you can, encourage your spouse to consider marriage counseling. In light of the fact that most marriages heading for divorce, especially those that don't involve violence or possible harm to you and the children, most marriages can be salvaged and turned into great marriages. It can become a testimony. Take a long pause before choosing a divorce. While it may seem like a solution to you, it's not an easy way out for you or your kids, and possibly not even for your husband, because he could be very innocent in all this as well. Yeah? Finally, ladies, something that has been brought to my attention is if you are abandoning your marriage for another man, possibly you're married as well, and you have been having an affair, let me just say, it is not going to work. The relationship that you hope to divorce your husband for and to get into is already a cursed relationship. So if you're there, it's not going to work. Just stop it and concentrate on your marriage. From experience, I know that by the time you reach a point of thinking of divorce, you've been through a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of anger. You've been through a lot. Yeah? Only you are most aware of what your situation is and whether or not your issues can be worked through. Whatever the case, ladies, before going through the divorce, ask yourself, have I done everything I can possibly do to save this marriage and our children? And the best that I've done, did it involve God, my Father? Only He can give you a way. If you're trying to walk this road without Him, especially if you're a Christian and you've gotten to that place of divorce without Him, you know what? There's going to be a lot of suffering, undue suffering. Take it to God. God hates divorce because of the pain it causes His children. Because the reality of divorce is that it becomes like a death that never ends without bringing closure for you, your ex-husband, and for the children. Yeah? So before making that decision to get divorced, unless you absolutely have to because of your particular circumstances that are life-threatening to you and your children, again, I say, rethink. If you can and are in a position to make that decision of divorce, please rethink. Go back to the drawing board. Take it to God and ask Him to lead you and guide you and to give you the strength to do what you need to do in order to not go through divorce, but to reconcile with your husband. Okay. Wow, that was heavy. That was really heavy. So that is all for today. Till next time, God bless you. And I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing you again next time. So my book, once again, it can be found on Amazon.com. There's a paperback as well as a Kindle. Ladies, if you have ears, please hear. All things are possible with God. Take care and God bless.